everyone, it's Dr. Daria here, and today I want to take a moment and talk with you about what is PRI, which is primarily what I use for my assessment and treatment of my patients. And PRI stands for the Postural Restoration Institute. So when we say, oh, we're doing PRI, that means we're using the techniques that were developed by that institute. And what I love about PRI is that it's very comprehensive. It's not just limiting itself to physical therapy or the musculoskeletal system, but it's really looking at how all the systems in our body, our nervous system, our visual system, even the way our teeth touch and the way that we experience our world are affecting how we hold ourselves, aka our posture. So when we say Postural Restoration Institute, we don't really mean how we sit. Like, do you sit up straight with good posture? It's more that we are moving through a series of postures throughout our day, whether that's going from right stance to left stance when you're walking. Those are two different postures. When you're going from sitting to standing, and all those transitions in between. Sometimes our body can get stuck in one of those positions and never really be able to fully transition out. And in PRI, it's well understood that we often get stuck in the position of right stance. So because of the way our organs are asymmetrical on the inside, and the way our brain structure is also asymmetrical on the inside, that certainly affects the way we move and will drive us to feel more stable on one side, that is our right side. And that doesn't necessarily mean that your right side is stronger or that it's going to be free from pain. It's just that pattern. It's just the preferred way that we like to be. And in every postural restoration manual, they give the analogy that certain animals will use certain limbs to do certain activities. So certain fish bottom feed only on one side. Certain monkeys only throw with one hand. So we're the same. We like to orient ourselves over our right leg. And that's not actually a bad thing. This asymmetry is normal and natural. It starts the gait cycle. When we're babies, we start rolling preferentially to one side, and eventually that leads to crawling and walking. And walking, we kind of fall onto alternating limbs, and that side preference gets the whole cycle going. It's just problematic when those asymmetries become too pronounced. So the world that we live in is very right dominant, right driven, or you could say left brain, which controls the right side of the body. That more analytical, focused, go-getter, sort of what's right in front of me type mind is the left brain, which controls the right body. And the right brain, which controls the left body, is more big picture, what's really, going on here when I take a step back. It's that opened up, wider view. So that right side of the brain and the left body kind of become a slave to the right side of the body and the left side of the brain. So this right side body is just that condensed, controlled side that we can't get out of. So if we want to feel good in our body, if we want to be without pain, we want to be able to breathe easily, we want to be able to do all the activities we want to do without being limited by injuries. Like for me, I used to have such terrible neck pain, and every time I tried to work out, do any weight training or anything for my neck, it would always get flared up. And it was extremely frustrating. As a physical therapist, I thought I knew what I was supposed to do to fix it. Nothing worked. I saw chiropractors, acupuncturists, um, got all my gut health checked and saw even a bunch of different physical therapists, and nothing changed it until I started doing this work with PRI. And now I don't have that at all anymore. So, of course, I'm an N of one, but it was really eye-opening and convincing to me because we'd get those tests when I was a physical therapist before I learned PRI where you'd be assessing somebody and say, this just doesn't make sense, or this is just a little off in the way that your body is presenting, but that's just who you are. That's just, part of who you are. And we're not going to try and change it, which is true. Like, we don't have to try and change everything. But at least now with this knowledge of PRI, I can look at somebody and see those things and say, okay, that makes sense. And this is why. And it's part of this pattern. So it's not that, we necessarily need to fix everything. But I think, and I find that everybody's outcomes are better when we understand the big picture of what's going on. So we know exactly what we need to treat and to what extent is this person affected. So when you have those kind of pains that just kind of come out of nowhere, say you love to walk and your hip starts hurting, but you didn't fall on your hip, and it's limiting your ability to do your walking like you want to, or you always injure the same shoulder. Well, it seems obvious. Probably you've gotten in a pattern of protecting that shoulder, so you're doing something different, but that's actually resulting in you repeatedly injuring that shoulder. But if we don't understand the patterns and the way that our body protects ourselves with patterns, and the way that we can get ourselves out of those patterns back to moving in and out of all the postures of our life with ease and grace and fluidity, if we can't do that, then we're never going to really get over that injury. We're never going to really get back 100% to where we want to be. So it's a big concept. It's hard to describe, and I have delayed making this video for so long because PRI to me is so big, and every time I take a course, I realize that there's so much more to it. It's just a very deep well of learning. And because the human body and the human system is so complex, of course it's deep. But if you want the quick and dirty, basically in PRI, we acknowledge and understand and address the asymmetries in the human body and that are normal and natural, and we work to find alternation and reciprocation in the body, which means going side to side, in and out of positions easily, so that you can move freely and without dysfunction in your body. So I'm sure that a lot of people have questions about this, or maybe I explained it really well and you don't, but definitely reach out to me if you have any questions. You can comment in the comments below, or you can send me an email, Derya, DERYA, at myessentialpt.com. Thanks for taking time to listen to this. Have a good one.